When I met Dennis, I was still in college. Someone stole my phone at the subway exit, and I had to chase it all the way in high heels. So much so that my leg was twisted. Seeing that I would not be able to catch up and my legs were still aching, I sadly held my hands against the tree trunk and burst into tears. Someone behind me pushed me aside and rushed forward. He is tall and thin, wears a black hoodie, and runs as fast as a cheetah. Another person smiled happily and helped me up. Hey, don't cry, that person just now is my class president. With him here, you can't lose your phone. I looked at the logo and name of his school. He was a student at the school next door, named Smith. In less than a minute, the guy in the black hoodie returned, bringing back both the phone and the thief. 39 seconds, Dennis, you're running faster again, right? Smith looked at his watch and by the way looked at the thief. Looks like you're unlucky, today you met our first classer, do you still want to run? The thief looked scared to death, not even daring to raise his head. The guy named Dennis was very taciturn, came over and returned the phone to me. I stood up, holding my hand against the tree trunk, reaching out to receive it. Thank you. The pain was so excruciating under my ankle that I almost fell to the ground. His arms were so pithily, I fell into his chest. I could smell the faint scent of his clothes, and I seemed to even touch my chin to his collarbone. Dennis immediately let go and took a step back to lengthen the distance with me. Smith said, "Oh my God, have you sprained your leg? Dennis, you have to carry her to the police station?" Dennis stared at him, frigid glance. Smith smiled mischievously and looked at me. You know, he went to church with me today. He's been wishing for a long time. I was bewildered. Clearly Dennis wanted to stop Smith, but he spoke in one go. We met the priest. He said his destiny is not in the past, nor in the future, but in the present. He had just left there when he saw you. Tell me, is it a coincidence? Dennis looked at him warningly, signaling him to shut up. I held the phone tightly, my face suddenly turned red. The thief must have been stupid. He quickly asked, "Are you going to the police station?" I also returned the phones to you guys. Smith immediately grabbed the other guy's neck and dragged him ahead, leaving behind a sentence, "Dennis, leave this girl for you to take care of. Remember, she twisted her leg." I was extremely embarrassed, said, "It's okay, I can do it by myself." Just took a step, I felt a rack. "Don't try," he said. Then he bent over and carried me up. I unconsciously put my hand around his neck. Under the bright streetlights, his facial features looked like a statue. I quietly raised my hand and grabbed his sleeve. Dennis did not react, as if he did not know. After giving my testimony, I returned to school. Gwen was waiting for me at the school gate. She thanked him profusely. Dennis nodded, turned and left. Not knowing where I got the courage, I said loudly, "Can you give me your phone number?" His steps stopped slightly but did not stop. He turned his back to me and waved his hand. On the deserted road, the streetlights lengthened his shadow. Suddenly I remembered those sayings. I walked through thousands of mountains and rivers alone, and no one needed to say goodbye to me. My school organized a friendship activity with the police school. I worked out asses off like the final exam, wrote an excellent CV, so I was easily selected. I quickly looked opposite, but unfortunately I didn't see Dennis. I was depressed. A few male students came to invite me to dance, but I all refused. In the middle of the dance floor, there were many people dancing, and I was sitting in a daze. I heard someone calling at the door, "Dennis, I thought you weren't coming." I stood up and saw Dennis standing and talking to someone. "There's still time after training, come here and sign." Opposite him was Smith. He said, "Dude, Lee told you to come, you finished it." Dennis is very communicative. After signing his name, he turned around and left. I quickly shouted, "Dennis." He turned his head in surprise and looked at me with his dark eyes. I mustered up my courage. "Can I invite you to dance?" Smith was excited. Hey, isn't this Dennis' destiny?" Dennis hesitantly called my name, "Candace?" I immediately nodded, "Today. I haven't danced yet, can I?" He was silent for a moment then said, "I don't know how to dance." Lost a beat. I stammered and said, okay, okay. Smith looked at me sympathetically. I looked at him and forced a smile. Dennis pursed his lips and suddenly said, but if you're willing, I can buy you a cup of coffee. When I held the hot cup of coffee in my hand, I felt like I was dreaming. Dennis is very quiet. It seems that today he is even quieter than usual, always silent. The prom was about to end, and a few people went out. The school bus parked right next to it. The driver got off the bus and smoked. Dennis asked me, how are you coming back? I was a bit disappointed. Everyone goes together, must take attendance. He said yeah, looked at the clock and said, then I'll go first. I don't know why I have a feeling that once you're gone, I'll never look back again. The voice flashed quickly in my mind. I called his name, Dennis. He turned around. Raised eyebrows, waiting for me to continue. I was nervous and made an excuse. I have to take my crush home, can you help me? The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. Finally, Dennis spoke, maybe I'm being amorous, but I have to tell you clearly. If nothing unexpected happened, I would never fall in love in this life, nor would I get married and have children. I turned to stone and stood rooted to the spot. I don't know how much time passed, but the driver finished smoking and said, you can get in the car. I seemed to wake up from a dream and spoke incoherently, okay, okay, thank you for your coffee, goodbye. He lowered his eyes, looked at me and replied, goodbye.